What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. So today I would like to go over a little bit in depth an install commission that I completed on a hilt from Starfall Sabers. This is one of a pair that was sent to me for install. I believe Nick is calling this the something cool commission line. So essentially, I think how I think it works is Nick has opened up commission slots for this run and just kind of asked clients, a general idea of what they're looking for. And then, Nick takes full creative control and does his thing, right? I'm assuming that's how it works, right? But yeah, this is from his Something Cool commission. This particular hilt is a really, really cool looking gunmetal silver hilt, but there's also a crystal chamber that Nick has integrated into the inner upper section of the hilt, right? So I wanted to design a chassis rather, but I also wanted to make sure that we got some cool animations in the crystal chamber, but also on the chassis itself. So I'm pretty happy with the result of this particular install. The hilt itself is a very, very cool looking hilt, right? I also took an opportunity to do something a little different in regards to the switches on this install. The switches that I have put in this hilt are switches that I designed. They are polished brass. Actually, I think these are matte brass, but I've been meaning to do something like this for a long time, to do some custom momentary switches. So keep an eye out. This is probably going to be something that will be offered soon. I've got 3 different variants of this switch, 3 different designs, and they will probably be offered in different precious metals and materials as well. So I'm really, really happy with how these switches came out. So without further ado, let's come in to Fusion and take a look at the chassis first, and then we'll come up top. All right. Okay, so here is the chassis that I designed for this hilt. This is a static, stationary chassis. So this nipple makes a connection to the upper part of the hilt. It is press fit, but I did also add a very, very small bead of E6000 just to help keep it secured in place, right? So let's start at the bottom. 28mm speaker down here. This was provided to me by the client. This is from KR Sabers, I believe. Greeblies along each side of the chassis. I went a little crazy with these greeblies. I've added some new ones to my library, so I wanted to try those out here. On this side, I wanted to get some sort of animation on the chassis, but I wanted to do something different. I feel like I've been doing the shine through vents a lot, so I wanted to switch it up again. This is an 11 neopixel accent ring from Stock Custom Works. So I've got that in this indentation, did some tube work to make it look like it's, or conduit work to make it look like they're going into that neopixel. This is where I bring my wires up, or my leads for the neopixel to wire it up to the board, right? And that's it, just greeblies, some grooves and ridges, all that fun stuff. And that's it. Kill switch is down in here, and we've got a Profi board that sits in this tray. Right here, slides up underneath this lip. That's it, nice quick rundown on the chassis. Let's come up top. This is the Something Cool hilt from a commission from Nick over at Starfall Sabers. So I was thinking about it in preparation for this video. I think I've only had a couple of Nick's newer hilts come across my desk. I've done a couple of his older hilts, like when he first started out doing hilts and making custom hilts. I've also done one on the Pock store. I think Pock store had a speeder that was designed by him. But anyhow, I haven't had many of his come across my desk, and I have been a fan of Nick for a little while now. Specifically like his SKs and his scraps. They're absolutely beautiful in my opinion, right? So this thing is really, really cool looking. I love the gunmetal look. We've got a knurled grip. It's very substantial. It's a nice feeling hilt. It's got a lot of weight to it. But I really, really like that two-tone kind of steel on gunmetal. Just a really, really nice looking hilt, right? There are those brass switches that I was talking about. Really, really happy with how these switches came out. So these are just regular momentary switches. So let's talk about how to use this guy, okay? One thing I appreciate about Nick and his builds, this build in particular, obviously, the set screws. So Nick has already added some very keenly placed set screws. We've got one up here for blade retention. He added one here for the PCB. So the blade PCB, I resin printed, or designed and resin printed a PCB holder that also had holes and indentations for the switches. Okay, but he has a very, very nicely placed retention screw for the PCB here, which I appreciated. And then obviously this set screw is for the grip. I like to keep everything symmetrically lined. That's how I've been doing it. Another thing I really appreciate about Nick is that he's using, these are either M3 or M4 set screws. I just really prefer bigger set screws. There's less of an opportunity for stripping them. They're just better, better in my opinion, right? So to get at the chassis, you want to unscrew this set screw. And here is the hilt. So this was already on, obviously. So here is the hilt, right? This is the crystal chamber, obviously, that was designed with the hilt. Nick included a real quartz in here. There is also some mesh up top. So I wanted to get neopixel strips in this mesh section as well. So there are two 2020 neopixel strips here. They are their own blade. The quartz crystal is also animated with a single neopixel from below. And then we've got our accent ring here. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 blades in this config, right? Really, really happy with how the chassis came out on this guy. So let's talk about how to use it really quick, obviously. Spring side is your negative. Set your battery down in that battery tray. I did fail to mention, I did a pass of my gunmetal rub and buff on this, and then I sealed it. I painted this circular greebly that is in front of the neopixel ring. I painted that like a burnt red, like with some Tamiya spray paint, because I wanted to give it some contrast, right? That's another resin piece that I just set in front of that neopixel ring just to make it look a little different.
Your move.
And there we go. I really like how these switches came out. All right, let's come down to the bottom. Right, so really, really nice. I mean, it is. It's a reveal. It's a reveal, crystal reveal. I mean, you take the grip off and there's a crystal chamber there. Really, really nice looking. All right. So once you, forgot to put the grip on camera up top there, but once you get your battery in, you can put your grip back in place. Like I said, I like to line all of these set screws up. That's how I've been doing it. I feel like it looks right that way. Tighten that set screw. And then you're ready to go. Nice sounding hilt too. It's got a lot of weight. I like that about hilts that are heavy. I like heavy hilts, right? So let's put a blade in it. All right, Nick did include a blade plug with this hilt. I will be putting that back in the hilt after this demo, but this is also a 7/8 inch blade holder, which is another thing I really appreciate. I prefer 7/8 inch blade. Nice big set screw back here for your blade retention. Just tighten that. Make sure it's just hugging that blade. And you're ready to go. See what else we put on here.
Check it out, Corporal. We'll cover you. Run.
Tell me, is this training?
My training? No. Always training. The universe is. No joy in this victory. Kenobi. Kenobi!
One more. Nice feeling hilt. All right, one more.
Don't talk back to your elders, child.
One more. So if you're looking at the hilt, button on your left is your activation or your main. Button on your right is your aux. Nice. Nice feeling hilt, nice sounding hilt. So that's it. Just a quick rundown on this custom commission from Nick over at Starfall Sabers. I had a lot of fun designing the chassis for this. And yeah, that's all I got. So to the client, thank you very much for trusting me with your install. If anyone has any questions about this particular chassis or the build, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.